Happy Tuesday, friends. Today is Tuesday, July 4th, 2023. And before we begin and get into the content, let me just say, if you or a loved one have been serving in our military, thank you for your service and happy 4th of July. In today's video, I'm going to share a very exciting announcement, but at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about the retreat that I went on with Donna from Handmade by Ying and a few other content creators. So you'll want to stick around to see how that all played out. The fun announcement that I have is really the bulk of today's update, and it is the release of my jeweled star pattern, and I am beyond excited for this. This is a very, very easy quilt pattern that anybody can put together. If you are new to sewing, you can do this. If you have been sewing your entire life, you can do this. I pieced this quilt top together in about an afternoon, maybe a little bit more than a few hours, but it did work up really easily and very, very quickly. When the quilt is all pieced together, it should measure 70 inches by 70 inches. Now, I will say that size is not great for a bed size unless you're a little bit on the shorter side. For me, that's not long enough to cover my shoulders and my toes. So I was a little disappointed after I put it on the bed and realized that I couldn't use it as a bed quilt, but it does make an amazing oversized throw quilt for the couch, the sofa, one of the chairs in the studios, and I have been getting a lot of cuddles with it that way. Now, if you're like me and that 70 inches by 70 inches just is not quite big enough for you, you can add another border to the quilt to make it just a bit bigger. Another 5-inch border around all four sides would make this an 80-inch by 80-inch quilt top, and that would be a great size for your bed. The pattern instructions do not have the yardage required for that 5-inch border, so you'll have to figure that out on your own. If this is a pattern that you want to grab, it's going to be linked in the show notes down below this video. And I want to remind you, if you are a member of my VIP program, guess what? This pattern is already available for you in the VIP pattern library, so you can go download it for free and not spend the $5 on the pattern. I am having an absolute blast designing these quilts and writing instructions for them. I never thought that this would be something I was really ever going to get into, but it's a lot of fun. And I've got several more that are in the design and writing process. And I'm hoping, knock on wood, that I'll be able to trickle out about one pattern a month or so, at least through the rest of 2023. We'll see if I'm actually able to do that. I'm not going to promise anything, but that's my goal. This past week, I was at a quilting retreat hosted by Donna from Handmade by Ying. There were tons of people there. People I knew, people I only knew online, and other content creators, and I had a blast. It was an amazing time to be able to get away from home and focus on some of our projects. I knew Donna was going to have a packed schedule. We had talked about this before. And because of that, I only packed 2 projects. I took the layer cake pop quilt, which is a pattern that I got for free from Fat Quarter Shop, and I will link in the show notes down below. Now, this is the pattern that I am making alongside of my mom. I'm using this pattern to help teach her how to quilt. And if you want to know how that's going, I'll link to a video I did last week in the show notes down below. The second project that I took was the Rose and Bloom Block of the Month that Fat Quarter Shop hosted last year. This featured a pattern and fabric line by none other than Lala Boutique, and you guys know I am a huge Lala Boutique fan. I have all of the blocks done for that. I actually managed to stay up to date as each one of the months shipped out, but I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't get either of those put together. What's wrong?
His eye.
Oh, he got stung by a bee.
Oh, what the?
He was putting his nose in there. Hold on, let me call the vet. Well, it's several hours later, and all I can say is I don't think this week can get much worse. There have been so many things that have just happened one right after another since I got back from retreat, literally Sunday. And I am ready to leave again. leave all of this behind me. Before I talk about some of the things that have been happening, let me just close the loop on the projects I worked on at retreat. I did not really make any progress on those two quilt tops that I took with me, but I did focus on a lot of smaller projects, and I found that to be more enjoyable than working on a big quilt. One of the things that I made was this snap bag. This was a kit that Pat Strawhouse gave to everybody that was at retreat. You got to pick your kit. I picked the one with the whales on it, of course. I found this to be a relatively easy sew. This is a metallic bag, or a fabric bag rather, that has a metallic ruler and a casing around the top that cinches the bag closed. And then you can open it up. It's got boxed corners, so it has some shape and it can stand on its own. This was relatively easy to put together, and so I volunteered some of my time at retreat doing this kit for others that didn't want to quite put it together but did want the bag finished. Donna's was one of them. I think I did Mary's. I think I did Pat's, and she brought the kits. These were a lot of fun to do. I underestimated how long it was going to take for me to do them. I literally spent just about all day on Saturday working on these bags. I am sad that I didn't make any progress on my quilt tops, but the retreat that I have in Alabama in a couple of weeks, I know exactly how that retreat is run. It's one that I go to every year, and there is sufficient time and setup for me to make some good progress on those quilt tops. So I still have them packed away. In fact, they are in the back of my car because why unpack them? And I will be taking them to Alabama, and hopefully when I come back, I'll show you 2 finished quilt tops. The past 48 hours have been an emotional roller coaster, and so many different things have happened. Not all of I want to talk about, but I do want to tell you about what caused me to run out of here earlier, because I feel like that was a bit of a cliffhanger. Am I right? I took Beetlejuice and Akumu outside for their morning walk, and while we were outside, they started exploring just barely into the wood line near our home. And Beetlejuice came across a beehive in the woods, and the bees did not take too kindly to his snout investigating their hive. Fortunately, he was only stung by one bee. Unfortunately, it hit him right in the eyelid, and he does appear to be allergic, although thankfully not life endangering allergic. When the incident happened, I did inspect him. I didn't see any stingers. I didn't see any swelling. He batted at his face a little bit, and after I wiped down his snout and his eyes and just kind of checked him over, he seemed to be okay, and so I let him go. I came into the studio to start recording my video, and then my daughter came in about a half an hour or so later. It was like, "What's wrong with the dog?" And I was like, "Well, I think he got stung by a bee." And I looked at his eye. His eyelid was so pink and red and just swollen. So yeah, it's a holiday. Our normal vet is closed. Off to the emergency vet we went. And $300 later, Beetlejuice has had an injection of steroids, an injection of Benadryl, and discharge instructions to give him a half of a Benadryl tablet as needed, usually about twice a day. That was a whole thing that could have been avoided if Beetlejuice would have just left the jalapeno sky raisins alone. Apparently, there's an image that is circulated on the internet. It has a picture of a dog, and it has a garbage fly, and it calls it a sky raisin, and then a bumblebee, and it says a jalapeno sky raisin. So when I told Ian that we were at the vet for a bee sting on Beetlejuice, he sent me that image, and I was like, yep, that's about right. By the time we left the vet, all of the swelling was gone. He seems to be back to normal. We're just monitoring for any additional residual allergy symptoms that might creep up, and we'll treat them as needed. I will say he is just a little bit more cautious when he starts investigating the ground outside. I've taken him outside a couple of times since we've been home, and he's a little hesitant to start digging at things that he doesn't know about right now. So that has been my week. I have had a blast at Donna's retreat. I am looking forward to the one that I will be going on in just a couple more weeks. And I'm hoping that Beetlejuice and Akumu both leave those jalapeno sky raisins alone for a while. Thank you, friends, for stopping by to check out the video. Don't forget to come on back Friday night where we sew live together right here on YouTube. I'll see you guys all then. Bye!